Greetings and salutations. Welcome to our new club guide. Let me shut the window because it's really windy. Today we're going to looking at the newly promoted Watford. They've been doing well in real life, so let's see if we can achieve the same. So in these club guides, basically the idea is that we look through the finances, transfer budget, wage budget, see if we can actually bring anybody else in. Then we'll look at the board, see what they expect of us to achieve this season, how they want us to play. We'll then go into the under-18s and the under-21s just to see if there's any good youth prospects, and then we'll have a quick overview of the actual squad, the main squad as a whole, and see if there's perhaps there's any areas we can strengthen. So first off is you get a message from the director just saying what philosophies he wants, and he has none, so you can play how you like, which is always nice. Finances wise, we've got 7 million in the bank, and we've got a nice chunky 15 million transfer budget. I think out of the teams, I've done 18 of the Premiership teams. I think that's up there with one of the highest, apart from the sort of big couple. Wage budget of 737,000, and you're currently spending 625. So you've definitely got plenty of room to bring in some decent players here. So that'll be an interesting challenge. So what does the board require you to achieve this season? Let's have a look. In the Premiership, they want you to avoid relegation. FA Cup is 5th round, League Cup is 4th round. I think that's definitely doable, especially with a bit of money to spend. I think that's nice. Going into the under-18s, I'm not going to look at all the players, just sort of top one. I'll let you discover any little hidden gems that are in there. So we've got Denilson Carvalho, Brazilian 16-year-old. He can play as attacking midfield, but can also fill in on the wings and randomly play right back badly. He's not that bad at right back. So let's have a look at him. Scouts rate him as a decent player. His work rate is not great, and his determination's not fantastic. Those are both two important stats when for a player to achieve their goal, so that you really want those higher. But maybe with a bit of tutoring that can be worked on. Other than that, he's got some decent all-round stats. His finishing is 5, so he's definitely not going to be banging in goals or playing up front anytime soon. First touch is 12. He's a decent all-round player. I don't think he'll become sort of a first teamer, but maybe with a bit of work you might get him somewhere. So our main talent in the under-21s, we've got two big talents here. So we've got Obi Olara, Belgium. Everyone loves a Belgian. 19 years old. The scouts really rate him, and you can sort of see why. Really, he looks like a big sort of target man. Heading 16, jumping reach 17, 16 strength. Bravery's a little bit low for a target man, but that's okay. His finishing isn't the best. His work rate's 14. His determination's only 8. That's a little bit of a letdown, but he's still a quality player. I can give him some tutoring from a guy that's got high determination, and that should go up. That's a sort of quite a weak point there. But he looks like a decent player. Like I said, he needs to work on his finishing a little bit better. He looks like a target man. How tall is he? 6'5". Yeah, that'll be a target man then. But worth 5 million. Definitely somebody you can develop into a first team player. And secondly, we've got Denon Lewis, an 18-year-old right midfielder, right wing back. Which is quite an interesting mix. He's scouts rate him quite highly. He's decent. Determination 11, work rate 13. That's not too bad. His tackling is only 9, marking only 8. So defensively he's not that great. His crossing dribblings are 9s as well. So I think you need to pick a position that you want him to play early on and train him, because he needs work in both going forward or defending. So I would work on those. But he's a decent player. I'm not sure if he'll make it, but he might become sort of a backup in your squad or a squad rotational player. Looking at the main squad, quite a big squad. We will get rid of the people that are out on loan. I'll let you work out if you want to keep them or not. One Fran, you can go over there. Vidra, you can go over there. So in goal we've got Aurelio Gomez. He just had a howler at the weekend, but he's a quality goalkeeper. Not too much to say about him really. Like some of the players that we all kind of know about, I won't sort of spend too much time on. He's a bit of a nutcase. He's going to make the odd mistake. He's good at one-on-ones. What's his rushing at? 14. Good. His kicking's only 6. His throwing's good, so maybe sort of play it out from the back, sort of play it short, because his kicking's quite horrendous. But yeah, he's a decent goalkeeper. He's 34 now, so you've got to start looking for a longer term replacement, but I think he'll do perfectly well in the first season. And we have Gidrius Arlauskis. I murdered names, you just have to live with that. You can see out there. He's a fine backup, he's nothing particularly special. He is a new signing, so you can't sell him to make some extra money, but you got 50 million, don't really need it. Decent goalkeeper, he can play in some cup games. He's a perfectly good understudy to Gomez. Now, right back, your choices are Alan Neom, 27 years old, Cameroonian, international, with 4 caps. Really good physicals, good stamina, natural fitness is good, strength, he's going to run up and down all day long with decent pace. Tackling's 15, marking's 14, and he's decent going forward. He's a very good player. I really like him, actually. Work rate 17, determination 17. Yeah, quality player. Definitely going to be your first choice right back, unless I see somebody better. Then we have Juan Carlos Paredes, whatever. Excuse me. Decent pace. He's just kind of a slightly lesser version of the previous guy, Neom, really. He's got good pace. His strength and stamina are a little bit lower. His natural fitness is a little bit lower. 11 tackling, 12 marking. He's okay defensively. He's decent going forward with his crossing and dribbling. His decisions are a little bit low. He's a decent backup, I would say, and he can play on the right midfield as well, so that's quite handy to have a versatile player. So they're your two sort of main right back options. So I think Neom's a quality player, so you're sorted and you've got a decent backup, so brilliant. Next up we have left midfield. So we'll have left back. Holbas, I'm going to go with Holbas. 31 years old, Greek international. Again, really good physicals. Can play all the way up the left-hand side. Good tackling. Good, okay marking. Maybe a little bit of work needs to be done. It's 31 now. But yeah, really good player. Decent going forward. He can also take set pieces randomly. But yeah, decent player. I think he'll do a fine job for you at left back. We'll have a look at see where this guy actually plays. Okay, so he's more of a winger, so we'll save him. He's definitely not defensive minded. I wouldn't play him as a left back. Yeah, so we'll just move on from him. Then we've got Nathan Aki on loan from Chelsea. He's a decent youngster. He can play left back, centre back, and defensive midfield. I wouldn't play him at centre back. He's only got a 10 heading. He's only got 10 marking. He's an okay backup, I suppose. It's nice to have somebody on the bench that can play those 3 positions, but nothing more. He's definitely not a first choice player. Tommy Hoban, 21 years old, Irish kid. Definitely more of a centre back, but can fill in at left back. Especially if you're playing a more defensive left back. He's not very good going forward at all, but he's a decent all rounder. So they're your options for left back. Maybe a little. It's definitely weaker than the right back position. Jose's okay. He's fine. He'll do a perfectly fine job in the first season. But it could be a position you're looking to replace if you go down that route. You've got the money, remember, so it could be something you look at. So, centre-backs, we've got Sebastian, who is a 28-year-old Austrian. He's at the peak of his powers, and he's a really good centre-back. The sort of standard stats here are tackling 14, marking 14, heading 16, all good. Good teamwork. Determination's good, strength is good, really good physicals, decent pace for a centre-back. Yeah, just a quality player. Concentration 15, what's his positioning's 15. Yeah, really good centre-back. I really like him, actually. Next up, we have Belkalem, another centre-back, 26 years old. His physicals are a little bit on the low side, I'd say. Pace is 10, which is just about okay. Natural fitness means he might tire a little bit. He's not quick off the mark. He's definitely a much more of a downgrade on the previous guy. His defensive stats are okay. He's going to get you a few yellow cards. He does dive into tackles, which is a bit of a worry, I think, for a centre-back. That's just a sort of penalty waiting to happen. He's definitely a backup option. He's been at this club a few seasons now, so it could be somebody you just want to get rid of. But for 1.5 million, you might as well just have him as a backup, I think. Then we've got Craig Cathcart, Northern Irish 21 caps, good experience. 26 years old, so he's just coming into his prime, and he's a decent all-round player. Again, okay physicals, and decent defensive stats with 15 tackling, 13 marking, 15 heading. Decent work rate. His positional sense is good. Decision making is good. Concentration's good. Yeah, he's a good all-round player. So then we got Joel Ekstrand, 26 years old. Again, sort of lots of players around that sort of similar age, just sort of coming into their prime, and he's okay. Not too much to say about this guy. He's a decent, well-rounded centre back, but nothing special at all. Then we got Britos, 29 years old, uncapped Uruguayan, and he's okay. Is he a new signing as well? Yeah, he is a new signing. He's nothing particularly spectacular, really. And then you got Etienne Capoue, who's more of a defence midfielder, tackling 13, markings 11, so that's a little bit low, but he's good in the air. Gets forward whenever possible, gets into opposition and tries long range passes. Probably not best for a centre back, so he's definitely one you'd look to play in midfield. So I think you've got a couple of good options there and a couple of good backups. I think that area definitely could be strengthened. Moving on to midfield, we've got Guadalora, who's a central midfielder but can fill in on the right midfield and as a defensive midfielder. Let's have a look. He's a decent player. 29 years old, just sort of starting to decline now, I imagine. Okay, so you loaned him last season, then you bought him for 1.5. Okay, so he's a new signing. He's a decent all-rounder. There's nothing too much to say about him, really. He's alright. There's definitely a few players that after maybe a season or two that you can do a big sort of clear out. I think there's a lot of sort of fringe players here. Ben Watson, central midfielder, can also play defensive midfielder, which actually I quite like him at. He's quite a good tackler. His marking's decent. He's not the paciest, but he works hard. His positioning is okay. Yeah, I think he could do sort of both roles there quite happily. And a good all-rounder, really, but another one that's sort of 29 years old. Another one that's just going to have to start looking to replace sooner rather than later. Then we got Barami, who can play pretty much everywhere on the football pitch, apart from goal and striker. 30 years old, so again, another one. He's definitely looks to be a defensive midfielder than anything else. With really high tackling, good stamina. He's going to run all day long, charge about and close down because his work rate's usually high, and determination, bravery. Yeah, he's going to get stuck in, I think, defensive midfielder all day long because he's not that good going forward, but a really good player. Get a year or two out of him happily before he begins to decline. And then we've got Abdi, 28 years old, another similar aged player. It's been an interesting rebuild in a couple of years, this squad. Decent all-rounder, really, nothing special. Can play behind the striker as well, so that's quite handy. Not had many of those so far. That's about it to say on him, really. And then for other people that play central midfield, we've got Gerardo, who's better off as an attacking midfielder, but can play on the wings and in central role. He's got great technique and passing. That definitely leads himself to a sort of playmaker-esque role. Runs with the ball through centre, curls ball, plays 1-2s, likes to switch ball to other flanks. So yeah, he's definitely a passer. He's got great passing, okay pace, which is that's enough for sort of central midfield positioning. Decent set pieces as well, which is nice. Lots of flair. Dribbling's 15. He's going to beat people. Yeah, definitely in the attacking midfield role would suit him better. So I'll say you're a little bit light. You've got some okay central midfielders, but they're all getting to that age where they're going to start declining. 29, 30 is your main three, and Duraldo's 29, Abdi's 28. Yeah, so okay for now, but it's a big rebuild job, I think, Watford. As far as wingers go, we've got Anya, who we had a quick look at before. Definitely better going forward. He's all about the pace. Plays on both wings equally well. He's right-footed, moves into channels, knocks ball past and cuts inside from the left wing. So that could lend him more towards an inside forward role. His finishing isn't that great and long shots is poor, so he's not going to get you a massive amount of goals. He's kind of pretty average, apart from he's got decent pace, I'd say. Next up we have the loan man, Diamante, 32 years old. Do you have an option to buy? No. 32 years old, so his physicals have really started to drop off now. I don't like having really low pace on the wings, but you can play on the wing or behind the striker. But his mentals and his technicals are outstanding. He's not the hardest worker in the world, but apart from that, he's brilliant. I think you can get maybe a season out of him, maybe more of an impact player. But yeah, he's an interesting one. I'd be interested to see how you guys do with him, because he's definitely going to fade, and he's 32, so it's only going to get worse throughout the season, that, for those physicals. Next up, we've got Burgess. I'm sorry, Watford fans. He's a natural winger, but can fill in other roles. He's 23, so thankfully you have got a young player in your squad, which is nice. And he's okay, decent amount of pace, dribbling 15, flair 10. He runs with the ball down the right, places shots, runs with ball often. He can't, obviously, there's no defensive work whatsoever here, so I'll definitely play him as an attacking midfielder winger, rather than a more defensive one. Decent long shots, decent first touch, good finishing for a winger. He's a decent all-round player, off the ball's good. I think he can definitely do a job for you, and it's always nice to have that sort of versatility there. Then we have the FIFA legend, Victor Ibarbo. You got a future fee of 12.5 million. That's a lot of money. He's all about the pace again. He's just absolutely rapid, good strength. His physicals are great, but as you can see, the rest not so much. I definitely wouldn't sign him for 12.5 million. That's for sure. He can play up front, but his finishing's only 9 and his composure's 10. Off the ball's only 12. Yeah, he'd be more of an impact player for me on the wing, I think, because his crossing is a lot better than his finishing. But nothing particularly special. I think I haven't missed anyone, have I, so far? No. So then we've got Iglalu, who's playing really well in real life, and his quality in this, definitely a good player. He's a complete forward, can play as a poacher. They're his two favourite roles. Good all-round physicals, decent pace. He's got a flair and dribbling, which is good. He can beat players, shoots with power, likes to round with the keeper, runs with the ball often, which is good because he has those stats to help him beat people. Finishing 15, first touch 15, composure 14, and off the ball 14. Yeah, he's got great striker stats. He's definitely going to be up there with your first choice. And then we have Troy Deeney. As a Watford fan, you all know about him. He's a bit more of a slightly defensive forward. He plays a target man, but he's actually just a good all-round player. Similar stats physically wise to Igagli, and but really good mentals. Work rate's 18, leadership's 18, determination's 18, bravery 16. That's really good. Striking wise, we've got 14 finishing, first touch of 13, composure of 12. Off the ball 12. He's still a quality player. I think I'd value Glaglu Odeon. I'll call him the Odeon Cinema. They're pretty even, really. I think if you're playing two up front, obviously that's a massive area you need to strengthen, because you're literally going to be playing these two and having Ibarbo as your backup who can't finish. If you're playing one up top, then it's going to be interesting to see which you go with. I think because they can play different roles, it suits your style, that you know, whichever style you want to play. So for me, your defence is okay. Left back maybe area, and centre back maybe a little bit weaker. Midfield is fine for a season or two, but all these players are getting to that age where they need to be replacing. Wingers, you've got some decent options, but maybe a little bit more strength in depth. And then strikers are fine if you only want to play one up top, but you will need to get another striker if you're playing two. So with 15 million pounds to spend and quite a chunk of wages, I think you can definitely do some work with this squad. I think you could. It's definitely achievable to avoid relegation. I think that you could possibly get a mid-table team out of this if you spent your money wisely. And that about sums it up. So thank you very much for joining me, guys. Hope you got something out of this. Please leave a comment if you're going to be doing a Watford save this year, or if you're a Watford fan and you think the ratings are all crap. That works as well. Please check out my other guides and my career saves and all that stuff, and subscribe, because that would be lovely. I'm new to YouTube and it's nice when people subscribe. I get a little tingle in my downstairs area. I love you all, guys. That's just unnecessary. I love you all, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.